high school horror story starts with me. I grew up in Great Bend, Kansas, which is right in the middle of the state. It got its name for the Big Bend in the Arkansas River and high school. We, when I was growing up, my mom was a teacher at the high school that I went to, and she taught computers and graphic art, web design, all those kinds of things for several years, and I had her in class, but she was pretty well known because a lot of students had her. Computers were relatively new at that time, and so growing up and everything. And so then also my sisters, who were older than me, had gone to high school before me. My oldest sister is 5 years older than me, and my second sister is 3 years older than me, and they were both big time athletes. My oldest sister played basketball and was an all-state basketball player, and my middle sister was a track athlete and qualified and ran in a state track meet. Everybody knew my family. So my high school horror story starts in Mr. Minton's biology class. Now, Mr. Minton was a relatively young teacher and everything, but I am not into biology. I could not stay focused on biology at all. But it was a class of all my freshman peers. Everybody I knew was in there with me. And one day, I know it was the spring, and he was talking about chromosomes or something crazy like that. He was going on and on and on, and I just could not stay awake. So here I was. I was tired. I fell asleep in the back of the class. Not the first time I'd ever fallen asleep in class, but I was sound asleep. So much so that even when the bell rang, I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up. Everybody left the classroom. Everybody walked out. Mr. Minton orchestrated it all. All my freshman friends walked out, and then the next class came in, and it was all seniors, and they were all friends of my sisters, and they were laughing at me as they came in, and I was unaware of all of this. I was sound asleep. But it was an anatomy class, so it was all seniors. And a bunch of them were my sister's friends. They knew who I was. They were all laughing. Mr. Minton was like, shh, shh, don't tell them, don't tell them, don't tell them. Halfway through class, finally, I wake up. And I'm like, whoa, what in the world is going on? I was sound asleep. So then Mr. Minton gets on the phone and calls my fourth hour teacher, Mr. Langer, and says, hey, McNanny's in here. He's on his way to class. He fell asleep in class. Just so you know, you're not worried or anything like that. He's on his way down. The worst part probably of the whole thing was that Mr. Langer had decided that he was going to tell all of my fourth hour class, which is again all my own peers, all freshmen English class, what had happened and that I had slept halfway through class. So as I walked into class of all freshmen, all my friends, everything else, they're all laughing at me, and I was just completely embarrassed. So that was the last time I've ever fallen asleep in class.